You're recording me, huh?
Yep.
Scary. Well, guys, the reason that we're doing the fact finding training today is that in some of the discussions with some of the managers, and obviously some of the things that maybe you guys have had conversations with your managers about, we understand that from certain people, there feels that there needs to be some additional training on how to know what product to pivot to, and then potentially from there, you know, how to quote things properly for Medicare, maybe simplified issue life. And we understand that everybody knows how to do certain things and may need help in other areas. So, you know, what Scott and I decided to look at, as opposed to saying, well, let's show you how to quote Medicare and let's show you how to, you know, decide which product to pivot to. Why not start at the beginning, okay? Let's start where everything in our process should begin, which is the fact finder. And then we'll move into those other areas, so we'll kind of build on it as we move forward, as opposed to, you know, well, here's how we quote Medicare, and here's how we quote final expense, and this is how we do this, and this is how we do that. Because you guys have heard me talk about it, and instead of just saying to you, yeah, I want you to do complete fact finders, I need you to do fact finder, I figured I'd actually show you the level of completeness that I would expect, or that I would consider to be a complete fact finder, okay? Because I see people all the time, you know, we ask you guys to turn the apps in, we ask you to turn in the fact finder, or copies of the fact finders with the applications, and very few of them are complete, okay? I'm just going to be bluntly honest with you, very few of them are complete at the level which I would like to see them. And the reason that I'm showing you guys this is not to be a burden to you and make your process more difficult or make you to do more writing, but what I've found over the years is that the more questions that we ask, the more information that we're able to gather from the clients that we're sitting and helping, the more opportunity we're going to find to help them and ultimately help yourselves as well. Okay, that's what the whole thing is all about. Also happens to be a regulatory piece, help us stay in compliance, because we can show that whatever recommendations we are making are in line with the customer's needs and not just something that we decided it would be fun to sell. Okay, that makes sense? Yeah? No?
And some of the managers expressed to me some people have a hard time transitioning from one product to another. So to see how to make that transition a little more seamless, a little bit easier.
So I'm going to do my variation of a fact finder, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, the last time I used one of these actual bifolds has been quite a while, so I'll do my best to stay on track with it. But again, I asked Scott to be a painfully difficult client, and hopefully not too painful, because we don't want to just watch Scott act. But we wanted to be meaningful for you. And the reason I asked him to be a difficult client is that I know you guys run into that. I know you guys run into people that don't want to give you the information. And I know it's real easy, if I'm going through my fact finder, to just skip to the next question and not bother worrying about the one that I didn't get the answer to, right? Well, I'd rather show you a little bit about how to get around some of that, and so that you can still obtain the information. Does that make sense to you? You know, we focus on that when we're closing. It seems like we don't focus on that when we're fact finding. So anyway, so Scott's going to be my client, and I'm just going to call you Scott unless you're...
I'm Sam.
You're Sam Singleton? That's my birthday, too. That's pretty amazing. You're born on March 13th, huh? That's awesome. All right, Sam, well, I appreciate you letting me come out here and talk to you today. And I know that we discussed that I was going to come and share the different ideas with you about the Medicare program and things that might be meaningful for you. But in order to do my job most effectively, if it's all right with you, I'm going to go through some questions just to find out a little bit more about you and your wife's situation. I'm assuming you're married. Is that right, Sam?
I am.
Okay.
My wife's name is Samantha.
Okay. Wow, that's great. Sam and Samantha. All right. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions, and as we go through here, if it's all right with you, I'm probably just going to take a few notes so I don't have to ask again. Is that all right?
Sounds great.
How long have you and Samantha been married?
1 year.
1 year?
Yep.
It's a new thing for you. So you don't have any kids together then?
No, we do not.
All right. Do you guys have kids independently?
She does, yes.
She does. Are they live local, or are they out of town?
A little bit of each. They have some that live out of town. They're grown kids. They're out. They're gone.
Okay. Do they provide any grandkids for you guys?
Do have a few grandkids.
Okay.
That's 21 so far.
21 grandkids. Well, the kids have been busy then. That's good. But I know if they're like my parents, they're probably very happy with 21 grandkids, so that's great.
That's great, yeah.
Good.
It's great to be a grandparent too.
It's tough having 21 kids to the house for Christmas, I'm sure, but.
We don't let them all at one time.
Okay, that's a good idea. Well, anyway, to kind of get past the family just a little bit, like we said, we're coming out here to talk to you about Medicare. Now, do you understand the difference in Medicare parts, Part A, Part B, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I kind of did some reading on that, so I do understand a little bit. One's a hospital, one's a doctor's.
Okay, so Part A, you're right, is a hospital coverage. Part B is going to be what's covering you for doctors or any kind of outpatient kind of stuff as well. A lot of people have also, taken into consideration things that Medicare won't cover. Maybe like you may have heard of it called a Medigap policy or a Medicare supplement or maybe Medicare Advantage, something like that. Do you guys have something like that in place already?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about what you have. What company do you have that with?
Mutual of Omaha. We had it for quite a while.
Mutual of Omaha?
Yeah, Mutual was a really good company, and
Okay.
they sent us something out in the mail. We signed up for a supplement years ago.
Okay. Well, I don't disagree with you. I think Mutual of Omaha is a great company. You know what plan you have? It's probably got a letter.
It doesn't. Plan F.
Plan F?
Plan F. Everybody told you to have Plan F. Plan F's the only plan to have.
Okay. And what about your price tag? You know what you're paying a month for that?
I really don't. I thought it was around like $200 a month, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't, does it come out automatically from your bank statement?
It
You guys
must.
pay
It
auto
must.
draft?
It must, but my wife takes care of that.
Okay. Well, is Samantha around? She might be able to answer that
Right
question
there.
for us.
Hey,
Throwing it here.
not married to you, sorry.
No wonder y'all don't have kids.
I'm going with Bill on that one. Samantha, do you have any idea what apparently you're involved now, so you can thank Scott for that later. Do you have any idea what you guys pay a month?
We
for
set
that
up
plan
years
now?
ago, we filled out the paperwork, sent everything away. I'd have to check my bank statement.
You guys have probably gotten some letters over the years that maybe your plan premium's gone up some.
Yeah, it's gone up a little bit. I can't remember. Honey, do you remember how much it went up last year?
Well, we had a big argument about this the other night. I think it was like $600 and something. So I think it's gone up a little bit.
Something like that. He doesn't want to deal with anybody else. He loves
$600 something dollars. All right, do me a favor, if it's all right, if I can ask you something real quick. Well, I asked Sam here a few more questions. If you wouldn't mind, maybe just grab a bank statement. I'll show you exactly what you're paying for. It'll be right there on the statement.
I'll
Does
go
that
see
work
what
for you?
Yeah, I'll go see.
All right, Sam. So Samantha's gonna go find out what your premium is. $600 is pretty steep, so let's definitely try to figure out what it is that you guys have going on there. Now, do you have something to cover your prescription drugs for you as well?
I think we do. I'm not positive. I mean, Samantha usually takes care of all that.
All
So.
right, well, I'll ask Samantha when she comes back.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Fair enough. Now, how about your health? Are you guys both pretty healthy? Do you have any health concerns?
No, we're pretty healthy. I mean, I haven't been in the hospital this year, so.
Anybody have any diabetes, any kind of COPD, anything like that, any kind of chronic conditions?
Well, Samantha used to smoke, so she does have a little problem with the COPD.
Okay.
I mean, they said she does, but I don't think so. But she does have this inhaler that she uses once in a while.
All right. Samantha, you're back. Were you able to find the premium?
Yes, I think it's like $230 a month per person.
$230 a month per
Yeah.
person. Now, I was asking Sam earlier if you guys have anything for prescription drugs in place. Do you know if you do? Because he said that's what you handle.
We had something. It was I can't remember.
You probably have a card for it. My guess would be maybe check the wallet or something to see if you do.
Yes, it's through AARP. I think it
Alright.
says Walmart on it.
Has it been doing pretty good? You guys feel like you pay an excessive amount for your prescriptions or not?
For the most part, we don't have many prescriptions, just my inhaler.
Okay, just your inhaler.
Inhaler, yeah, I mean,
He's got some other
Does
pills.
Sam have any health
Yeah,
issues?
Sam-
He said he
Sam-
was pretty good. Then he mentioned
He's
your
got his
COPD.
hypertension pills and his cholesterol pills and all
Okay.
that kind of good stuff. His HGH pills to get taller.
Very good.
you're the reason my heart attack a couple years ago.
Okay, either one of you expect to have any surgery anytime soon, anything like that? In pretty good shape?
Yeah,
Hopefully not.
Not planning on it.
Okay, well
You
that's
know,
good.
at 73 years old, hopefully you won't have too many surgeries. But
Now, where a lot of people get confused over time talking about your Medicare coverage, and I'm glad you've got Mutual of Omaha and your AARP stuff. Those are good programs, good companies. Hopefully you're not overpaying for them, but we can look at that in a little while. A lot of people think that Medicare is going to cover them in the event of some sort of extended care, maybe like a nursing home or assisted living, and unfortunately that's just not the case. So have you guys ever thought about that before? Have you ever thought about needing maybe something in place, maybe like a long-term care policy or something like that?
now, I think we've looked at it in the past, but it's really expensive.
Really expensive.
Right.
Have you guys ever experienced that in your own families? Mother, father, sister, brother had to go into a facility or something?
Yeah, so Sam's father had to go into a nursing home, and actually the family just came and took care of him at home. But it was rough.
Okay.
It really beats up a family pretty bad.
People have to take time off of work, or how did that? Anybody have to move or anything? I mean, at this place is a family pretty good.
Well, no, I mean, Sam had a hard time. She gained a bunch of weight because of it. But it's rough in the family. It really is.
Okay. Well, certainly some ideas I can potentially share with you there. I just want to make sure that you guys are at least aware that Medicare doesn't do a whole lot for folks in that area. But like I said, we can come back to that in a little while. Kind of moving forward from there, comes to the next area that we like to talk to folks about. Is going to be the area of life insurance. You know, have you guys done anything to plan for your final expenses at all?
Why do you need to know all that? I thought we were talking about Medicare today.
Well, it's important to understand what kind of coverages that you actually have in place to make sure that we fill any holes that you don't have. And oftentimes people think, well, if I'm just going to focus on my Medicare, if you're in good health, if you're not seeing the doctor very often, maybe you don't need a full-blown plan, and so that might free up monies for other things. But knowing exactly what plans you got in place is going to help us make the appropriate recommendations for you. So it's always good to pay attention to all aspects of the planning process. Now, like I said before, did you guys ever do anything to help prepare for life insurance or final expense?
Yeah, we're good with that.
Okay.
We're good with that.
So who's the company you got your coverage with?
Well, we saw some commercials on TV a little while, about 10 years ago. So I got an AARP.
AARP. So you've got it with New York Life then?
Oh, it was AARP.
That's probably New York
The
Life.
Trebek guy was on TV during Wheel of Fortune, and we signed up.
Okay. Now, do you happen to know if that's term coverage or if that's whole life?
I really don't know. I don't know the difference. What is the difference there?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll be happy to explain the differences, and probably what would be good is once we get through my questions real quick, is that we can pull your policy down. I'll tell you exactly what you've got, okay?
I know I had $200,000 because that's what Samantha said I had to have. So.
All right, so $200,000 death benefit. Now, do you both have a $200,000 policy?
No, Samantha's only got 25.
Samantha's got 25. You got 200. You happen to know what the policy premiums are? I probably need to ask Samantha, right? You don't
Probably
have to pay the bills.
Samantha's with Colonial Penn.
Okay.
Not with AARP. She didn't. I don't know why.
Okay. So she's got Colonial Penn. Samantha, do you have any idea what you guys are paying for those policies?
He covers that. I take care of the health. He takes care of the life.
All right.
I remember something like her on like $30 something a month.
$30-something
It's pretty
a month
cheap.
for Samantha's or
For
for
Samantha's.
For
Mine's
Samantha.
expensive. Mine's like 71.
$71 a month.
I tell him I'll kill him right now and just take that check.
Okay, well, let you guys work that out after I'm gone. But all right. So we've got $200,000 for $71 a month, and I got $25,000 for $30 a month. Is that right?
Sounds about right.
Okay. Well, I can probably guess at the type of coverages that you have, but just the same. Tell me a little bit about why you have that. Is that just for final expenses, or do you have some other intentions for it?
Oh, 25,000. Not really gonna do too much, but hopefully put her in the ground if we need to. And, I mean, we're not looking for that anytime soon,
Okay.
but
And the $200K, why are you carrying such a high face on that?
that's what she told me.
That's what she told you, Samantha.
To cover the mortgage if he dies. I
Okay.
don't want to have to go back to work.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
What, 73? You want to go out to work?
You know, you never know.
You guys done any other types of planning? Have any wills, trusts in place, things like that?
No.
No? Okay, is that something that's ever concerned you at all?
Not really. We never talked about it.
Alright, well, I can share some ideas with you about that as well, but it's just kind of good to know what you got and what you don't have. I'm going to move on to my last area, guys. It's going to be talking about your retirement income and savings. Now, are you both receiving Social Security benefits?
We sure are.
And what kind of benefit does the government provide you every month?
Sam over there only gets about $950. Mine's about $1,600.
Okay, $950 and $1,600. You guys have any pensions in place? Anything else bringing money in?
We do get a little money. I used to be in insurance, so I get some renewals coming in.
Okay, what does that amount to?
About
roughly?
$1,500 a month.
$1,500, okay. Samantha, you?
No, I got to quit working and take care of my sick father.
Okay, fair enough.
We got a little IRA, but that's just a little IRA that I set up when I was doing insurance. Got about $500 a month from that.
You get $500 a month from the IRA. Any idea what the balance in the IRA is?
Somewhere around 200.
Somewhere around 200K. And who manages that for you?
Why do you need to know? That's a lot of questions that we are going over.
Again, like I said before, Sam, in order to make sure that I'm doing my best job and giving you recommendations, I just need to understand exactly what situation you guys have. But if you're not comfortable sharing with me the information about the IRA, that's fine. I'm not here to upset anybody. I'm here just to make sure that I do a good job for you guys. So when we're talking about assets and income, you shared with me the income. You got the $1,500 a month coming from your insurance days, and we've got the $16 and the $950 coming from Social Security. Are there any other sources of income? Okay.
Sounds like
As far as investments go, what I like to call bank inventory. Do you guys like to keep a money market or a savings account? Keep a little bit extra cash around?
I think we got a little savings account,
Okay.
just in case something happens, we have to go down the street and buy a car or ice cream or something like that.
And roughly what kind of balance do you like to keep in the savings account?
Around 20,000.
About 20,000. Okay.
We eat a lot of ice cream.
Lots of ice cream. Well, that's okay. I'm all right with ice cream. Now, as far as any other styles of investments, you mentioned the IRA briefly. Is there any other type of investments you do? An old 401k maybe?
Samantha had a little one when she was working for the schools.
401k, so it might be a 403b, man.
I think it might be, honestly, don't
Okay.
remember.
Any idea what the balance is there?
I don't know, Sam, what was the last time we checked? 15, 16?
I had like 65, I think we're off a little bit, but we've been off in all the
We'll
numbers.
go with 65. That's okay.
65k
Yeah, that sounds
and 403b. Okay, that's good. And you ever take any money off of that, guys?
No, we took off a little that one time to help out your son who was in jail. I think that was about it.
I was saying, didn't even have kids
We didn't have kids together.
Oh, no.
That was his kid in jail,
They've
not
only been married a year.
Doesn't
so-
matter.
There's so many kids, we just get them all confused.
That's all the grandkids.
Those are great kids.
Oh, whatever.
All the grandkids.
Bad egg over there.
Okay, so we got about 65k in the 403b. Did you guys ever do anything in stocks or mutual funds, anything like that? Nothing in the marketplace?
No, not really.
Okay.
We're getting too old for that.
And then IRA, who'd you say managed it for you?
TIA Cref?
TIA Cref. And you were saying the years was 65. What did you say you think you had roughly in
A couple hundred, something
Couple
like that.
$100,000 in there? Okay. All right. Now, do you guys have any goals for your money? Is there anything you hope to accomplish? You want to do some traveling? Would you like extra income?
I want to outlive him.
You want to outlive him?
And have a
Okay.
comfortable life.
You don't need money to do that, but all right. Any goals for you?
No, no. Not really.
I'm ready.
It seems like the walls are closing in.
So you have no goals for that money at all that you worked so hard for your entire
Well, I
life.
just want to make sure we don't outlive it. I mean, that's my biggest concern is that
So you want to
Social
keep it,
Security is going to go away, and next thing you know,
you want to keep it safe if you need it, have something to fall back on, maybe a supplemental income. Those are the kind of things I'm hearing from you.
we got to keep paying for this house. I mean, every time that we get a house close to paid off, she wants to move again. So,
My wife's the same way, Sam. I understand.
The whole year we've been together, we've moved so many times.
Moved to this 7 times in the same year. Yeah, that's good. All right, so at this particular point, guys, this is when I'm going to stop and I'm going to make my transition. Okay. Now I've walked through everything. I think I've exhausted my attempts to try to gather information from this household. And so what I'm going to do then, and again, I wasn't taking the notes that I said I would be, so I'll use Scott's to cheat off of. But I'm going to come back and I'm going to do it once over on everything that we just discussed, okay? And there's a reason that I do that. And the reason for it is so that they can see that, number one, I was paying attention, that the information that they were offering me is important enough that I actually took notes in a detailed fashion. What it's also going to allow me to do is going to give me a little period of time to determine which way I want to go when it's time to pivot, okay? And so I'm going to walk back through here and I'm going to say, Sam, you know, guys, I really appreciate you guys sharing all this information with me. Just as a once-over, make sure I got it all written down right. You guys have Mutual of Omaha coverage. I think we're paying about $230 a month for that. Coming down the line here, we had some long-term care concerns, but we didn't do any planning in that arena. I've got $200,000 on Sam at $71 a month, and $25,000 on Samantha for $36 a month with no additional legal documentation, wills, trust, nothing like that. As far as retirement income, we've got $1,600 and $950 from Social Security, followed by $1,500 coming from your insurance days. Got about a $200,000 IRA and then about a $65,000 403b with about 20 grand in savings. Does that all sound about right to you guys?
sounds about right.
Okay, well, like I promised you before, my job is to come out here and give you guys the best possible advice. And so the first thing that I think that I could really be helpful for is going to be to look and see if we can take some dollars off of your monthly expenditures on your actual health coverage. That's going to be the concern that I find to be the largest. And then, you know, there's some other red flags that I see here, guys. I see some concerns about the life insurance. I want to double check and make sure everything's good there. Also, we can certainly talk about some of the other areas as well, but I think first and foremost, we really ought to see if we can save you some money on that Mutual of Omaha. Now, Sam, we may have opportunities for you. Samantha, we may or may not be able to fix that given your COPD, but we'll certainly look in to see what our options are. Okay, that's going to be how I go about doing that. Yes, sir.
So Dave, you're gonna come back another day, is that right?
I'm going to, right there, I'm about to quote Med Sups.
Oh, okay, okay.
Probably only on Sam because she's got COPD, so I probably can't get her approved for anything.
Right.
Okay, but I'm going to quote a Med Sup right there. Depending on how helpful the clients are, how willing they're interested and continue to talk, I may go into doing a little digging on the life insurance. But as opposed to trying to, I mean, in that house, and Scott even wrote some things down on the fact finder that I skipped. He apparently has got a cancer policy that I didn't ask him about. When it comes to pivoting, I'm always going to look first and foremost at the immediate need. There's nothing more immediate than having good health coverage, specifically for seniors. So if there's anything that I think I can do to improve that, that's where I'm going first. Okay? Next thing I'm going to look for, if it's not an immediate need, it's going to be the path of least resistance. So if any of the things that I was talking about throughout that conversation, if they came with any kind of body language or any sort of inflection that makes me think that there's something that they're not super happy about there, I'm going to look at that next. Okay? And the reason for that is obviously if they're already kind of not happy with what they've got going on, then maybe there's something that real simple that I can do to fix it. Now, it doesn't make sense in this particular scenario to pivot immediately to the life insurance. Why? Because he was really combative with me trying to get any information on the life insurance. If you remember, he said directly, I'm good with that. We have that. Why do you need to hear about that? So obviously he's happy with his life insurance, whether he knows it or not. He seems like he's happy with it. It's not the area that he wants to discuss. So I would be remiss to try to immediately pivot in that direction. But if I can save them money on their Medicare supplement policy, now I've created benefit. Now I've created value. Now they might be more interested to see what else I can do. Right?
Right.
So that's going to be why I'm going to pivot in that direction in that particular order.
Right. I noticed you didn't talk anything about long-term care or anything. You didn't kind of go in that direction at all.
I asked him about it and I knew it's a whole.
Right.
The one thing I can also tell you is if you've ever written long-term care, it is not a short sales process. Okay? If I'm going to compare selling a Medicare supplement to selling a long-term care policy, that long-term care policy is 3 times as hard to sell.
Right.
The reason it's that much harder to sell is because you're asking them to put out more money, and it's something that they may or may not ever use. Obviously, the importance is there, but again, I want to look at what's going to provide immediate impact. So if I can take money off of what they're currently paying for something they know they need, that's where I'm going first.
Right.
And we know the Medicare supplements are standardized across the board. So anybody that's got a Plan F, if I can do it better, if I can do it cheaper, they're going to have the exact same coverage, right?
Right.
And depending on the difference in cost factor, maybe I shift them to a Plan G. If I can save them more than obviously that Medicare Part B deductible, then I'm going to shift to a Plan G. But I'm looking to create value, okay? This is the first time I met these people. I want to make sure that they see that I'm looking out for their best interest. I'd love to write them a $200,000 policy. I'd love to move a $200,000 IRA or even a $65,000 403B. But again, that's not going to be the immediate juice that I'm going to be able to get out of that appointment. What I want to do is say, this is what I can do for you right now. If you notice when I did my recap, I also pointed out a couple other areas that I saw concern. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to lay the groundwork, the expectation that this is going to be another conversation at some point down the road. Maybe not today, but it's going to be there. And the whole process is we're not just setting up that appointment. You want to set up the entire relationship as you're moving forward. If I write the Med Sup today, and then maybe I get them to pull out the life insurance. Now I've gathered some more numbers on the life insurance and say, you know what, let me do my homework, and when I come back to bring you your Medicare supplement, I'll come with some ideas on your life insurance programs. So now what I've done is I've set myself up for a super easy go back. One, because I got to deliver the supplement, right?
Right.
2, they've already given me all the information that I need on the life insurance, so I don't even have to quote sitting in their house. I can already have it prepared. And when I come back, I can do exactly what I told them I was going to do. Here's some ideas on your life insurance. How'd you like to save XYZ amount of money, or blah, blah, blah. Whatever your reasoning for making the improvement, setting yourself up ahead of time is just going to make your life a lot easier, and it's going to also make you look like a really strong professional, because you say, this is what we're going to do today, this is what we're going to do tomorrow, and this is what we'll do the next day. But you can keep doing that over and over again. You've heard us talk, or me or Scott or somebody talk about deliver and pivot. What better way to go do your policy deliveries than to know you've got something else to sit down and talk about already? Why wouldn't you want to do it that way? Now, think about this. Let me give you something on the other end of the spectrum to consider. What if you tried to write the med sup and the life and the annuity all sitting in the same appointment?
Your name would need to be Dave.
You're insane. No, I wouldn't.
But it confuses them.
You can lose all of it, confuses them, whatever. We always say pigs get fat, hogs go to slaughter, right? If you see all this opportunity and you try to grab it all at once, you're gonna get kicked in the teeth. You just are. Why? Because people get scared. If you go in and try to shift everything about their entire planning process all at the same time, they're gonna freak out. What if underwriting takes a week longer than you expected? You're gonna get phone calls. What's going on? I'm all scared. I don't have anything showing me what's going on. Deal's done. If you're trying to move annuity money and it takes 3 weeks longer to move than it should, and you also got a replacement of a Medicare supplement or a life policy out there at the same time, you're sunk. Oh, don't worry about the annuity. Just cancel that. We'll just get this taken care of. There's no point. Trust me, all these things have happened, guys. I'm speaking from experience more than anything else. But always go with the immediate need, then go to the path of least resistance, okay? And look for those hot buttons while you're talking to people, okay? He was abrasive with me when I discussed the money. He was abrasive with me when we discussed the life insurance. So I know those are probably not the 2 first places I want to go. If I got to come up with another reason to, to discuss that with him again, that's probably not the route I need to take, right? Did you guys also notice that he ended up telling me how much his IRA was worth? Notice how we got there? I hope, maybe. I asked him the first time, he was like, why do you need to know? So I don't want to know, I don't want to do this. Okay, that's fine. So we shifted gears, we went a little bit of a different direction. Started talking about other sources of income, started talking about the bank inventory. He was more than happy to tell me about the 20 grand he had in savings. Then I asked if his wife had any retirement, so we talked about the 403B. Right after the 403B, we came right back to the IRA, and boom, all of a sudden that question is not so offensive anymore. I asked it the exact same way, I just asked it later, after he divulged other pieces of information. It's really funny how people will do that too. I mean, that happens over and over and over again. A lot of people won't even want to tell you how much money they make. Then you ask them 5 minutes later, and they're more than happy to tell you they make $75,000 a year. Why, I don't know, but that's the way it works. Okay? So, I know that when you guys are out there and you see an opportunity in front of you, and you go to close it the first time and you don't get the deal, are you standing up and you walking out of the house? I'm guessing the majority of you probably look for another way to try to get them to say yes, right? Can you honestly tell me in your fact-finding approach that you're that diligent in trying to obtain the information from the client? Or when they give you pushback, you just let it go? And I don't need an answer. I want you to really ask yourself that question. I want you guys to be professional fact finders. I can promise you 100 times over, if you perfect that skill, the rest of it will get a lot easier. We've got the MAX system, which is phenomenal. When I was a new agent, there was no such thing as a MAX system. So Fact Finder was my best friend. I use it as a file folder. I also use it as a notebook, okay? A notebook is what I was coming back to do when I went back to that house, right? So when a policy came in, I would clip the policy and the Fact Finder and any other thing I had for that file all together, so that I had to have that fact finder with me when I went back in the field to deliver the policy. So when I delivered the policy, I had to have a reminder of what we had already talked about in front of me. So then I already know what the next step is, and I can move right on down the road, right? You guys don't even need Max to do that. You got the fact finders. They're just not being used well enough, okay? And if it takes you a half hour to do a fact finder, so what? I don't care. Scott gives me crap because my appointments last 2 hours. I'm happy about my 2-hour appointments. You know why? That means my clients are sharing real information with me. We're really getting to the bottom of what needs to happen. Okay? And it's nothing against the way Scott does his business. I'm just telling you the way I do mine.
The 2 hours I'm okay with. The 3-hour ones.
Those are your clients. But in all seriousness, guys, don't shortchange yourself on the front end on the fact finder. This is not a complex process. Something else though that I hope you guys picked up on, and you don't have to do a long presentation about it, but little factoids thrown in as you're working your way through the fact finder. You know what Part A and Part B of Medicare are. You can even go into C and D if you want. Okay? The fact that Medicare doesn't cover anything for long-term care. Knowing that income is important so that we can make appropriate recommendations. I mean, just little tidbits. You know, you don't have to have a full drawn-out script, but it helps your conversation transition. It helps you, gives you a good reason to transition to the next area. You know, if you're paying too much for your supplement and or you're paying too much for your life insurance, well, if we can adjust one or the other, then we can make an appropriate recommendation over here and create money for you to pay for, right? I mean, these are some of the things that it's really easy to just take a different approach, a different angle, look at it from a different direction, but don't give up on gathering the information. And if they legitimately say, I don't have it, okay, don't beat them over the head about it. I'm assuming they don't have it if they tell you they don't. But if they do, or if they give you that, why do you need to know that? They've got something there. It would be my recommendation to figure out what it is. And you don't need to be rude about it either. Okay? So, I don't know how much time I've taken. 33 minutes. That's the shortest training I've ever done. Now, as far as pivoting goes, or fact finding, I mean, do you guys have any questions about anything? Is it all pretty clear? Honestly, every time you walk into a house, you guys doing full fact findings? More or less.
I think there's a lot of. I think there's a lot of people, a lot of times, and I was the same way. When I was newer too, is that you get to something and you find out, hey, they're paying way too much money, and it's very easy to stop and just try to help that problem. But if you don't know everything else that's going on, it's hard to get the right recommendation for that right product for them.
That is actually a perfect point, and you guys actually heard me do it a couple of times where he was trying to ask me questions about things that would have been relevant to the question I was asking him. Like, I don't know the difference between term life and whole life. There's no need for you to go into that explanation right there. I can tell you at $71 a month on $200K, he's got a term policy. Period.
I'm 72 years old.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm done with my fact finding there. I take my professional knowledge base and say, all right, I already know he's got a term, so I know what I'm up against. I'll explain that to you later if that's really the way you want to go. And then it's a great way for you to reopen the conversation on the life insurance that he was so abrasive about on the front end.
But yeah, my key would have been when he said, what is the difference between that and that?
And that's what I'm telling you. I want you guys to, I don't want you to be rude, and I don't want you to blow it off. And if they ask you a question, you should write it down. But say, guys, I just want to make sure I get through these questions with you real quick, and I promise I'll come back to it. Because that's where the client even unwittingly will derail you from what you're trying to accomplish. If you came there to talk about Medicare and they don't have anything in place, and you dive straight into, I can write you a Plan G for $105 a month, your fact finder's done. I'm sorry, you're done. You are done. Okay? If you sell during the fact finding process, you have failed at fact finding. Legitimately speaking. Okay? But I've seen it 1,000 times over. Agents come up to something, they see that they know they can beat it, and boom, they go right at it. They want to get that sale quick. They want to get it done because they're afraid that the client might change their mind, or all of a sudden they might miraculously have a policy show up out of nowhere they didn't have 5 seconds ago. It doesn't work like that. So don't skip steps in the fact finder so that you now have an incomplete file on your client just so you can write that app. Get the fact finder done. I promise the app's there to be written when you finish. He asked me about the life insurance. Okay, yeah, let's skip by that, because if I had stopped and answered that question, then he would have continued asking me other questions. Might even started pulling his policies out, which eventually I do want to do. I just don't want to do it then. Because if I did, what happens? What part of that fact finder do I miss at that point? I missed $265,000 worth of retirement assets, plus 20 grand in the bank, plus all the income,
Just to answer a question.
just to answer some information about life insurance.
That makes sense.
Would I rather leave those annuities on the table, or would I rather answer the question? You know, I mean, you guys see what I'm saying. But I don't think enough people put enough weight on the value of the fact finder. And that's what I want to encourage you guys to do, is that there's a lot of juice coming out of those couple of pages. If you allow it, if you actually put it as a priority. And do you want to be that one product agent, or would you like to be the agent that has become a master at everything that we can offer? Well, I promise you, if the answer is the second, this is your best friend. Because even if you don't know what you're doing, even if you have no clue what companies we write long-term care with, much less how to sell it, if you do the Medicare supplement and say, you know what, I'm going to come back with some information on the long-term care when I come back with your policy, you've got time to figure out what's going on. You've got time to sit down with your agent and say, what would you do here? Okay? If we don't set that stage, we don't get a fact finder, that sale's off the table regardless. What are you going to ask, Norm?
I was going to ask more information on how we use the MAX system to extract that information that we put on the fact finder when we need it. So basically, I go in a house, I do the fact finder, now I come back and I input all that stuff into the MAX system. Is that just a container, or is that a useful tool that I can use? How does that work?
You can search for whatever you want. So let's say, like, for example, the one Scott was talking about, I had COPD. Let's say you ran into a bunch of people with COPD, couldn't find much to help med sup wise, and all of a sudden we get a new med sup that is great with COPD. They have lower rates or whatever it is. Then you can search for COPD, and anything in the notes that says COPD is going to pop up.
Okay, so it'll search. So when I do my fact finder, I go home, I go to the MAX system, and I put all my notes in the note.
The note section at the bottom, it
Right.
searches through that.
So
Yes.
it'll search. So like
Yes,
you
sir.
said, COPD or something like that.
Yep. That's why we always talk about, let's say you go see somebody and they have a Mutual of Omaha and they have a great rate now. And we hear Mutual of Omaha's having a 20% increase. You can go through and search for anybody you've seen who has Mutual of Omaha, pop them all up and say, hey, Mrs. Jones, I know you have Mutual of Omaha. Did you get the letter about the 20% increase? Oh, okay, great. Well, Forethought is in your area. It's the exact same plan and it's going to be a little bit cheaper. Do you have some time next week to sit down?
Okay.
So the answer is both. The notes section can be your best friend as far as looking for, new opportunities. And if you cut that fact finder in the middle and scan it in, you can just plop it into the documents right there that are attached to that file as well.
Well, plus, a fact finder is going to be in the back of your app, so if you do that Medicare supplement, now that fact finder is in that app, in the MAX. So you're going to have everything in there you need.
Okay.
So you can truly, when you go out into the house, pull the notes back up, and you can pull the fact finder up and look at it.
So, again, just word to the wise. Again, I came from old school insurance sales. Okay, I mean we actually had a 2.5 page script that we used to have memorized by the end of my first week with the company. So when you got hired on, I make you guys stand up and introduce yourselves to the group. That's embarrassing, yeah. But having to do a 2-page memorized presentation as to what a fact finder is and how to deliver it, different ball game, okay? That's how serious it was when I was first coming in, as to how important that fact finder truly was. And I want you guys to take that same stance on it, that it really is that important. I legitimately don't care if you can sell a single policy if you can perfect your presentation of the fact finder. You can perfect your skill set in obtaining the information that's going to help you on the fact finder. That, to me, is the single most important skill that you could hold outside of just normal people skills, just being able to interact with people. Because I can show you what to do once we've got a fact finder. Your manager can show you what to do once you got a fact finder. We can run the quotes for you. We can go through the sales steps with you. We can do all of that while we're not sitting in front of Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Okay? That's when we gotta shine, right? So might as well be really, really good at the first thing that we should be doing with them anyway, right? Warm up, there's your people skills. Fact finding, I'm an A+ at fact finding, okay? And this is not tooting horn or anything else, it really does go to show you. And I'll pick on Matt, okay? I'll pick on Matt. I'm not gonna pick on Jerry because,
He does that enough.
huh?
He does that enough.
Then Matt picks on you enough?
All day.
Okay, okay. Well, I'll pick on Matt then. Well, Matt and Jerry went in this woman's home, I don't know, a year, 2 years ago? Barbara? Matt comes back and he's like, Dave, we got this great case. We want you to go on with us. You know, she's got $300,000 bucks. I think she's interested in doing an annuity. I was like, that's cool. Where does she live? Deerfield. All right, great. And just like I do in most every house that I walk into, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to ask all the questions all over again. I tend to curtail it just to the financial side of it because I, kind of leave all the other deals for you guys. I don't want to feel like, I'm stepping on toes. But I always go back through the fact finder questions on the financial aspect of it. And this woman, being that she was a little bit flaky, because I was persistent in asking, we found, what was it, another $112,000?
150.
Or 100,
100 something. She knows she has.
$100,000+ that this woman forgot she had. Forgot. How do you have $150,000 that you forget about?
She was busy.
Because she was busy. But guess what? Had we not asked the questions, number one, we wouldn't have got as big of an annuity deal out of it. Number two, she still wouldn't know she had $150,000 sitting out there.
Probably lost a lot of her money.
So I'm trying to impress upon you, let's say you make, I don't know what comp level, we'll call it, what, 3.5, let's call it 3.5%. So what's 3.5% on $150,000 bucks? Anybody?
6. You can tell them what I made in that house. I was only working 5 months with you guys. That was awesome. I just sat there and listened anyway.
That's $5,250 for asking some questions. Because we were already there to do an annuity presentation.
And
She was already interested in pulling her money out of the market.
we went there for ACA. That's what
And you went there for ACA. And because I didn't take Matt's word for it that the fact finder was complete, because I asked a couple more questions, because I asked her to pull out a couple of statements, and covered another $5,200 worth of commission from an ACA sale, because we did a little bit better fact finding job. This is what I want you guys to realize. It's not just about the annuity sale, it's about all the sales.
I just did her legs up. So she's still fine.
So she went from ACA to MedSup, wrote 3 annuities in the process somewhere along the way. Not a bad shake.
Dinner friends, got a referral.
I was gonna say, do you think Jerry and Matt are ever gonna lose her as a client? They brought somebody in that found 150 grand for her, took her out of market risk and all that other good stuff. I mean, seriously, this is all from the fact finder. This has nothing to do with the ability to write annuities or even do ACA for that matter. It's about fact finding. So I want you guys to pay heed to that. I really want you to pay attention, do a thorough job. Your bank accounts will thank you. Your clients will thank you. Okay? For whatever it is that motivates you, if you're in this business, it's for the good of your clients and the good of your families, I hope. Okay? Best friend. Promise. Been doing this now. Started this business in 2004, so this is year number 12 for me. One thing I'll tell you about this business, if you're not that good at it, you don't stay in it. Okay? So for 12 years of my 37 years of life, I've been talking to people about their planning, and I've been doing fact finders. So I venture to say that has helped me more times than I can count, and I want you guys really to use it as a tool that it can effectively be for you as well. Okay? That's all I've got for you today. Do you have anything? One thing I will say. One more thing. Okay? I'm going to give you guys 2 weeks. Okay? We'll start from yesterday. So, any fact finders dated 25th forward through the end of the 25th to the 5th. Any fact finder dated 25th to the 5th. I'm going to put $150 on the table for the agent that has the most completed fact finders that have been signed off on by their manager. Okay? You got 2 weeks. 25 to 5. So that's going to require you sitting down with your manager and you guys looking through it, actually discussing the appointments that you had. It's going to require you doing a good job doing completed fact finders. I'm going to be the judge.